Number 3 on Chapter 2, Section 2 was to use the limit definition of the derivative to find the derivative of cosine of x. Now, in the first part of the problem, they show you how to do it pretty much for the sine of x. And I noticed that a lot of you skipped the second part. So I am going to do that part. So f prime of x would be the limit as h approaches 0 of cosine, and we're doing it at x and not a, so it's going to be ax plus h minus cosine x over h. And then there's a formula for the cosine of two angles added. So this would equal the limit. And the cosine of two angles added is the cosine of the first, cosine of the second, and when it's plus here, cosine makes it minus, the sine of the first, sine of the second angle. Then we have this minus cosine x at the end, all over h. Then we should we've got cosine x in two places, and so we're going to change this to cosine of x times cosine h minus 1. That times that is this term, that times that is that term. Then we have minus sine x, sine h, and these are both divided by h, and I'm going to split them into two separate fractions. And the limit of a sum or difference is the limit of each part. And so I'm going to go to the next step, which is I'm going to realize that the cosine of x has no h in it. It's times the rest of this. These have h's or tied to something with an h. But this isn't, it's times it, so I could pull that out. And so I can call this cosine of x limit as h approaches 0 of cosine of h minus 1 over h minus, and then on this I'm going to be able to pull the sine out of this stuff, and I'm going to have the sine of x times the limit of what's left as h approaches 0. And that would be sine of h over h. Now, in the earlier problems, when doing the derivative of the sine, you discovered, and we talked about this in class, that this is 0 as h gets really small, and this becomes 1 as h gets really small. And so we get 0 times cosine x, which is nothing, I'll put down 0, minus sine of x times 1, which is just negative sine x. So the derivative of the cosine of x is negative sine x. That's what they wanted you to talk your way through.